here's what I took away from it. Look, Russell was fine. He really was. I was more shocked at the manner in which, and what's concerning to me, but shocked by the manner in which Nathaniel Hackett and their defensive coordinator had kind of coached that game. I mean, first off, I'll go back to training camp preseason. Y'all remember when they played, I think they played the Bills in the preseason?
Yeah.
They look soft. Like, I mean, I'm not questioning the toughness of these men, but they don't play with any physicality. And that showed out early in that game. And, again, it was one of those kind of tone-setting things, especially on defense. They did not look like they were bringing what they need to in order to compete at that level in the NFL. The second thing is there were some times where you could see, and it could have been just the fact that the starters hadn't, played really at all in the preseason and all that, but they just seemed off. And you expect that with the first, year head coach, first-time head coach in offense. But down the stretch, that was what was most shocking. From my time in Seattle, one of the things that Pete Carroll did so well was 2-minute and clock management. I mean, I remember sitting in quarterback rooms with Carl Smith and going over the scenarios of, okay, we have this much time left. We have no timeouts. How many plays can you get? All right, 3 plays, coach. All right, we got this much time. 1 timeout. How many plays can we get? I mean, literally every day rehearsing this. And so you could walk into that huddle concussed, and you could say, look at the clock and go, all right, we got 22 seconds, no timeouts. We really can only get 1 play safely, and then maybe a field goal afterwards or a Hail Mary afterwards, right? Like we knew all that time period. Like if you had 16 seconds left, right, that was the bare minimum. Like if you were desperate and you had to make something happen, 16 seconds you could get up, run a play, clock it, have time for something else, whether it's a field goal, Hail Mary, whatever else. Like that was like the bare minimum, right? I mean, we went through all these scenarios. And Russell has been one of the most clutch quarterbacks in the fourth quarter in 2 minutes of anyone in NFL history. And so to sit there and watch with 3 timeouts around midfield on a 4th and 5, you not burn one right away and go, okay,
and then
let's talk about this.
Didn't burn it right away and then burnt it. Like, it's not like they did a play. They
wasted 30 seconds.
And then called timeout.
And so at that point, you should be saying to yourself, okay, we got 3 timeouts, right? We're going to call a timeout right now. Now, you can't call back-to-back timeouts, obviously, but what you're going to do is you're going to talk in the huddle and say, we're going to try to run some sort of, because he's going to be in shotgun, double silent count, right? A little couple head bobs, something like that. You want the defense to get a jump. You want to try to maybe get one of them to jump off sides, get a free play, all right? And then from there, we're going to try to convert this thing. And then after we convert this thing, we're probably going to have to call another timeout, regroup. We'll have 1 timeout left. We'll go from there, but we'll be closer in field goal range. We'll save that last timeout for the field goal. But the fact that, like, they just sat there and walked to the line and act like they didn't have any clue what they were doing, to me, it was an indictment on Nathaniel Hackett and the lack of preparation for getting this team. Like, he's kind of one of those guys that everyone loves, the media, because he's high energy and all that stuff. His team wasn't prepared. And it was actually even worse, though, for as much as Russell has played, that he let that happen. Like, at some point in your career, when you take it in your own hands, which he has, that's why he's in Denver, you got to be the one to sit out there and go, time out, burn one, and go, what the hell are you doing? Like, why are you trying to waste 30 seconds on the clock? Like, I didn't see the sideline erupt like they were mad at Russell for not getting things organized. It seemed like it was more of Nathaniel Hackett and that staff not knowing what the hell they were trying to do. Call timeout and talk about it. It wasn't that complicated. They made a very, very simple scenario or situation look so complicated. It made me question everything what this season is going to be for the Denver Broncos.
Well, Nathaniel Hackett, the head coach of the Denver Broncos, he tried to explain the decision-making on the 64-yard field goal attempt. Here was the Broncos head coach.
Obviously, I wish we would have gotten a lot closer, but it put us in that weird spot there because we were in the field goal range, but we were on that 4th down situation. Didn't think we were going to get that many yards, so I thought it was a great job by Javonte, and we just made the decision. We want to take our shot there on that one.
So there it is.
No, you tell me. What do you have a better chance of making, a 64-yard field goal or a 4th and 5?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, a 4th and 5 or a 64-yard field goal.
I saw the numbers. There was somebody who did the math on it, the analytics, and they said that it's like 46% of the time teams convert on a 4th and 5 at that point in the field, and about 20% of the time they'll make a 64-yard field or something along those lines. It was significantly in favor of you pick up the first down on a 4th and 5 in that spot.
You guys did hear Troy, didn't you? Did you hear Troy? What Troy said?
They couldn't figure out what the hell was happening.
Well, I thought it was interesting because I thought it, but I didn't say it out loud while I was sitting there to myself. But it was like they put more trust in it, and now this kind of goes back to the whole.
Russell.
You heard that, right? Like it kind of goes back to the whole Seattle thing. Like, oh, let Russ cook, put it in Russ's hands. But that was the perfect time for Russ to get another play because he was marching. They weren't really stopping him. Get the first down, get out of bounds or whatever, get the timeout, and then figure out what you're going to do from there. The fact that they were like, okay, we're relying on the fact that our kicker can make the kick from here, and we're not even going to put Russ in a position where he has to be either the hero or the goat or the hill, so to speak, in this situation. I thought was when Troy said it, I was like, man, I was thinking it, and now Troy just put it out to the entire world. Now you're going to have to answer questions. Why didn't you trust Russell Wilson?
A minute 11 left. You're at midfield. You've got all 3 timeouts, and you get one more play in a 64-yard field goal attempt.
That's not good math.
And that's a wrap.
It's not good math.
So even after, the thing that I'm shocked by is even after you wasted the 30 seconds and you call the timeout and it's still 4th and 5, it's like, okay, we have 2 timeouts left. And I don't care if you had 20-some seconds, whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you could still go for it here, and you still have enough time with timeouts. You know, the average play takes about 6-7 seconds. And so you could still make it even if you didn't trust Russ necessarily in that scenario, which is it's a little bit hard to believe. I think it was more just the ineptitude of Nathaniel Hackett and the coaching staff, never having been in this scenario as a head coach before and understanding how to manage it. But I look back and go, well, even then, you should have just came back out and go, okay, we had time to talk about this. Let's go for it. Let's get this. Again, if I'm Russell and they try to put a field goal kicker out there, I'm going, what? No, man, Brandon, get your ass back on the bench. Like we might kick one, but it's not right now. Like that's how you handled that. I'm shocked by the fact that, like, and I said this before. Remember about Aaron Rodgers? We were talking about the playoffs, and it was before we were working together, LaVar, but it was no different then. When he's looking over the Green Bay sidelines and those guys like try to take him off instead of going for it. I mean, it's at some point in your career, and I know it looks bad.
I'm not coming off.
Exactly. That's what you're saying. You're like, we're going for this. We're not doing this.
Yeah.
At some point, you got to take charge. And that's the thing is, Russell has already tried. And again, I know Seattle and the whole story, and they were trying to move on from him before he was trying to move on from them. And maybe that's what created the fracture. Regardless, you're in Denver now. The rest of this story is going to be painted out what your legacy looks like as a Denver Bronco. And so he's got to take this into his hands as far as what he's going to do moving forward. And last night was a missed opportunity.
And it also feels like this is the coaching debut for Nathaniel Hackett, and he struggles in these moments. Like Brian Billick talked about it before, thinking he was really prepared and he had studied and all this stuff. And then he got to become a head coach and he realized there were other things that he didn't factor into it. And he just sort of had to learn to adapt to all of that stuff. The problem for Nathaniel Hackett is now, because everybody saw it and it played out on national TV, there's going to be questions about this guy moving forward.
Yep.
Like no matter what, it's just like Brandon Staley last year with his decision making. That became the storyline of the offseason going into this year. The entire year, Nathaniel Hackett is going to be questioned now. Hey, we've seen this play out before, national television. Are we sure he's going to know what to do with the clock here? And now they've been put in this spot.
You know what I kept thinking watching that game? Boy, Denver misses Vic Fangio. Like watching that defense and just watching the overall the outcome of the game, I'm going, if Vic Fangio is there, I feel like there's a different outcome here. Like I really do. And it's odd because with Nathaniel Hackett, you would have thought they would have put that on Russ's shoulders to get the first down and all that. With Vic Fangio, I know they would have. Because he was saying, like, this is the guy that they were away from being a successful football team. And trust me, he was waiting for the moment during his tenure in Denver to have a quarterback that he could say, no, you go get the first down on 4th and 5, drive us down further so we can have a more makeable field goal to go win this thing.
I thought that's why you pay all that money for 4th down and 5s.
Yeah,
in the clutch.
I mean, for real,
right? I mean, isn't that why you got the 3-bedroom home that's 100,000 square feet, like
right,
to deliver on 4th and 5?
You know what?
4 bedrooms, 12 baths.
That's why you wear a shiny suit out there with shiny shoes and a bow tie.
Just throw another piece into all this. that Hackett was hired after the new ownership group took over. And I can promise you, the Walton family, that whole Walmart, the whole big whole conglomerate that Walmart is, right? Like, I'm sure they were smart enough to say when they just bought this team, what the hell was that? Like, look, we made our money, through change of Walmart, right? But even we can understand clock management and how this all works. Like, what the hell was that? I think because of the timing in which Nathaniel Hackett was hired and the ownership group took over, that probably lends Hackett to be on a shorter leash. That's my intuition with all this. And I'm not saying that, hey, they're going to fire him after 1 year. But these are the sorts of things where people are keeping a tab, they're keeping receipts of, and they're saying after 1 year, then into year 2, if this thing gets ugly or looks ugly and it doesn't look good next year, he gone. That's how this all works out.
I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility he gets clipped after 1 year. If they miss the postseason and ownership goes, we're paying all this money to this guy, we need an improvement here, and Sean Payton's sitting on the sidelines, you don't think they would make a call to Sean Payton? 100%.
He's got his own office, so you better in a shiny suit.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing is that ownership group. If they move on from Nathaniel Hackett, who obviously let all that happen with Russell coming in, you just block off the door, you pack up the boxes, you send that crap down the quarterback room.
Yeah.
You go, maybe we need to be up here on our own.